Are you okay? Do we have an oxygen tank at the back of the hall somewhere? No.
I've never trembled so much while playing.
Oh.
Like, oh, wow.
It's terrifying playing in public. Why do any of us want to do it, you know? We have a choice. But you played so well. It was great. In fact, I'm glad you played so well, because we don't have a lot of time this morning, and I don't have a lot of things to say, so we can all have a cup of coffee sooner than perhaps. No, it's terrific. It's very, very good. I don't play any of these pieces, although I worked on a couple of them during the pandemic, actually, thinking I might play them at some point, but I've never worked on any of them properly or played them in public. I mean, let's begin with the sixth. I mean, I think one would have to say, I mean, nobody loves Rachmaninov more than I do. It's a challenge that this piece doesn't sound all the same, because it's 3 Fs or 2 Fs at the beginning, and then it goes to 3, and then it goes to 4, and you know. So I think the maestoso is quite important, in the sense it needs to feel that you're never struggling with it. I don't mean you, technically, because you're not, but I mean musically, that somehow it always just feels noble and at ease, and like you're riding a horse that is just doing the work for you. You're not actually kind of trying to get the thing to move. It's just happening. And I think generally you can weight your the demi-semiquavers more to the left hand than the right. Because the danger is we're going to hear all right hand, everything getting. But if you can just, because the right and the left hand doing the same thing almost all the time, weight it to the left so that this is just a bit more leggero. And then I think separating the voices already is going to give us more room to do things. That's one general point. The other general point is all of these upbeats. I felt he writes an accent on each one, and I want to hear each one. But I don't think they have to be literally da-da, like 2 down bows, da-dam. You can have more ceremony, ya-dam, da-dam. So a little bit lighter on the one going up. And then the other thing, as a general point, when you have grace notes, I always imagine things like when you've got something like this, imagine the grace note as your downbeat, so that you're not trying to snatch it in between, that it's got its own space at the beginning of the bar. It's not even doing it at the beginning of the bar, it's imagining it at the beginning of the bar. So you don't go down to catch it before you go to the chord, you go down and then you catch it, and then you play the chord. And psychologically, that makes a big difference. Would you mind starting it again? I don't want to tire you out, but think maybe 1 forte at the beginning here, not 2. Yeah, so in fact, maybe by the end of the bar, we're more like a mezzo forte, and then this chord. It is a big, of course, he's not going to write 1 forte because it's not a 1 forte kind of piece. But practically speaking, I think we can play a lot less a lot of the time. You got at the beginning of bar 7 for 1 second. That was great.
Oh, just that?
Well, everything was wonderful, but that was extra wonderful, extra wonderful. And we're looking for even more than extra wonderful in the Royal College of Music. We're in the great center of musical education of the world here, so we're going for the best. Yeah, because I just think, I haven't thought about this. I didn't even really know it that well before. I knew we were doing this class, so I thought I'd better go to YouTube and have a couple of sort of looks at some. So it's not a piece that I've lived with and thought about, but as I'm living with it now and thinking about it with you and with all of us in this room, I just think I would have leggero written. for all of this. It's certainly not this kind of... These, I think, is very light. This, of course, has a little bit more weight, which you can use the arm for rather than anything else. So that basically they're just a little bit of arm weight on those. And then the chords. That as one line, those chords, so that we don't feel chord heavy, 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 chord heavy, but just that the chord is part of a radiant chorale in the brass. And what about if we took a bit of time? I think we don't have to have every single 30-second equal value. I think maybe a little bit of time before that. Let's try it. Just from the second line. Yeah. We come down a little bit in bar 10. Why not? Yeah, I like it. So that maybe just take a little time and really melt into that bar. And then he has mezzo forte, but you think mezzo piano with a little bit of extra sugar. Whatever the notes are. And these chords, yours felt like you were trying to get them in. There's time. Just give them time to have warmth. I might even arpeggiate. People arpeggiated. I mean, Rachmaninov plays, he arpeggiates everything. You know, it's the style of the time, so why not? Enjoy that. Don't blame me, though, if you get low marks in your exam. It's funny, isn't it, this piece, because you look at the page and it's all of these notes. There's no reason why it can't be incredibly free in places. I know there's a certain sort of rhythm, and when there's a hemiola with the rhythm in the chords, we want to hear that. But this section seems to me, and can you find a most fantastic horn sound? Where this melody comes in the lower part of the left hand. Let's go from there again. want to hear that really as a very, very much a horn solo, or whatever solo. Let's hear that all the way through the texture. And you might not want to roll every one. I mean, unless you want to, but... Yeah. I've got a little, I think what I would do, I would miss out the A in the, yeah, why not? Nobody's going to hear it. But then you can really get a, I mean, he actually writes, he misses it out in the next melodic note, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So why not at the first one?
Yeah, I love that.
I will give £1 million if I had it to someone who could hear that in a concert hall that you weren't playing the A. And the thing is that sometimes you might miss the A anyway, so let's just choose to leave it out and you will be safe. Yeah. It's great. I'd love now to hear, as expressive as you are, but not so much sound in all the right-hand melody. This is very much a counter melody. It's all in these bright strings. We're going to hear it, whatever you do. So I think it can just be like a bell on the top. And this melody coming out of the behind the sun coming out from the clouds or something. Beautiful. Yes, with these. I think the triplets are moving into the downbeat. And I think it's very interesting that he gives us these 2/4 bars, because he doesn't need to. They could be 2/4/4 bars. But I think it gives an urgency. Down and 2, 1, 2, 1. It looks faster on the page than if he'd written it in 4, when you can settle down into a comfortable 4. Now we're on the move with that. Okay, fantastic. It sounds great. So I would experiment with some of those ideas and leave out notes when you want to bring out the melody. It's just fine. Everybody leaves. I struggled so many years when I practiced Rachmaninov 3. Then I was in Paris, and there's a library there, the Gustav Mahler Library, and they have Cortot, Alfred Cortot's scores. And Cortot conducted Rachmaninoff in this piece, amazingly enough. And there is the score that Rachmaninoff signed on the front in beautiful big blue pencil. And throughout the score are little markings in the same blue pencil by Rachmaninoff. I mean, fascinating little changes of not much that's really relevant. But he crossed that left hand out and wrote, so, well, I mean, all of us, however perfect your technique is, it's a tricky little passage, and it's particularly tricky with the orchestra because the woodwinds are sitting, yards away, meters away, and to get with them. This is so sharp and rhythmic. And I just played the piece last week, and I was hoping no one could see that I was cheating, but actually it is exactly what the composer suggested. So it's what sounds good. It's the only rule, really, in the end. I mean, usually what he wrote sounds good, or what she wrote sounds good, but, okay, we've got about 1 minute to talk about the first one. I would say that rhythmically, I got a bit lost in the middle section, in the 7/4. Well, I wasn't too upset about it, but I don't feel I need counselling. But it's just that I think because the rhythm's unusual, we need to guide, those like me who don't know this music very well along, because we have this. I think these triplets we need to feel a shape to them, that they somehow don't feel the rubatos taken away. Can we actually just try from there? Yeah, they can be very free. They can feel free. I don't want them to be, but just not. I felt I wasn't quite sure where that we were. Just once more, and then this. When a melody begins, it's singing, isn't it? Or imagine, I don't play the oboe, but when you play that first note on the oboe, your worry is, will this note sound? You've got to get that thing through that reed. Is this a good reed? So the first note of a melody, it's always got to have that presence. Like, is my voice working today? Actually mine isn't. Actually placing that note. On the piano, of course, we never have to do that, but... Nice. It's very, very good, but I don't want to lose the melody. Even if it's soft, it's still got personality. Yes. It's that last. I feel it. That it doesn't. That we still sing each note. Better, yes, lovely. Great. I think it's better. Just be careful with this sequence here that we find enough variety or that we grow. I mean, maybe it needs to start a mezzo forte so that we can grow a little bit. Felt a little bit like each one was the same. Just be careful with that the personality of your two hands are different here. That we're not all playing in the same field. This is it's just the accompaniment. So that all of this left hand is very much on a different plane. And enough first note.
Sorry?
Enough B flat to give us the key, yeah. Good, I can still... I think it can sing a little bit more. I think, you know, I would do this a little less than piano and this a little more than piano. And the first note of the melody, like we were talking about the oboist. Yeah, that's great. I would leave my right hand on my knee until you're going to play, because it's up here. It's and then sing. Yeah, it's like you're a singer coming from the wings of the stage. You know, you come on and you're the star. You don't come on and wait around and then you're the star. You know, you just. And I think it's why it would be terrible to do this with the right hand, you know, because that's not your role. Your role is this particular character. Is it great? I would just add the first note. Yeah. That's when you catch the eye of the audience and capture their heart from the very first note. You know, if you know Maria Callas, the first note she sings, you're already in her, you know, she's got you. Yes, beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, there's a lot. Where it goes to this little chromatic moment. I would just give a little more color to that, just not louder, but just something there, because everything has been very diatonic in the bars before. Yeah, something like that. I'm afraid we're going to have to stop, but it's good because you played it very well, so bravo.